Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and we are connected from United States. We have a special guest, Ron, today that he will be sharing with you the good, the bad, the ugly, and the funny, how he achieved the first million in sales. But not only that, he has successfully helped over 40 companies to exit in different spaces. So in technology, blue collar, anywhere. So please, Ron, introduce yourself.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me on today. My name is Ron Douglas. I own Mentoring Giants. Like you said, I've had about 40 companies. I've had over 40 companies, but I've had 40 successful exits. Um, yeah, I'm kind of retired now. I live on a ranch down here in Colorado, and I just like helping people get to their first million.
Wow, let's talk about that. The 0 to 1. This, which is the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs out there, and I think that the biggest setback that all the entrepreneurs said out there is that in this race from 0 to 1. So, Ron, in your career, yeah. So, what was the first company that you did this 0 to 1, and how do you feel when you achieve that?
Well, obviously I felt good. Yeah. The first company I ever did, I quit the prison. I was a prison guard, and I worked death row in Texas. And I quit and I started selling classic cars, buying and selling classic cars. And I started with just one car, and
Wow.
when I was done, I was shipping by the time I made my first million, I was shipping probably three or four 18-wheeler loads a month out out of a yard and shipping them all over the world. We were shipping classic cars to Australia, New Zealand, Denmark,
Wow.
all over Europe. Yeah, so yeah, it was a lot of fun. And but that was I started when I was 24 and I made my first million by 26.
So what made you quit your job as a prison guard and take this risky choice to become an entrepreneur, right? So what get you to get out of the comfort zone? Do you have entrepreneurs in your family? Do you have a friend that tell you let's do this? Do you have you watch an article in the newspaper or the TV? What happened? Your girlfriend let
Well,
you?
well, first of all,
What
it's all
happened,
about
Ron?
perspective. First of all, it's all about perspective, you know. I mean, you think that quitting the prison and starting my own thing is risky. I mean, try working at the prison in the supermax every day.
That's also very risky, right?
Yeah. So it's all perspective, right? But you are right. Yeah, it was scary to quit. I remember when I quit, I called my wife and we had like 40 bucks in the bank account and rent was due in like 2 weeks. So yeah, I was a little nervous. Um, but I had met my first entrepreneur when I was 24, 22. No, I think he was 22. He was 22 when I met him. Um,
Or was a friend, a family
and,
friend?
no, it was a random thing. It's kind of a funny story actually. We had, me and my wife had just gotten married and we did the books wrong. And instead of having $25 till the end of the month, we only had 25 cents. And that wasn't enough money to pay gas to get to work. So
Wow.
I remember on the way to work, there was an old junkyard on the left-hand side. And so I drove in there and I asked the guy, I said, "Hey man, do you got any work for somebody?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're crushing a bunch of cars." He goes, "If you want to help do that." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do anything." So luckily the prison was 12-hour shifts, 4 days on, 4 days off. So on my 4 days off, I went over there and I cut gas tanks out of old cars that we were crushing. And he paid me 20 bucks a day. And that was
Wow.
just enough money to put gas in the truck and get me to work. So but the cool thing was is I saw that he owned everything, and he owned his own house and he owned this operation where he's crushing cars. And I asked him if I could take him to lunch, and I said, Alan, I'd like to take you to lunch and ask you a few questions. I said, I don't want to be on this side of the table. I won't be on that side of the table. It's like
Wow.
I've never met an entrepreneur. I'd like to learn how to do that. And he goes, you know about cars? And I said, yeah, yeah. My dad taught me, work on cars a long time ago. And he says, well, take that car right there and fix it. And then I said, sure. So I got the car running, and he's like, yeah, take it to work, and you work at the prison, go park it in the parking lot there and put a for sale sign. And I said, okay. So I did, and he slowly talked me through selling my first car. And
Wow.
then once I realized I could make money without a boss and on my own. I never even fathomed it. I mean, my dad was in the army for 22 years, so everybody I was surrounded by was join the army, retire. I mean, that kind of attitude. And so I never understood that you could even make money. If you wanted money, go get a job. That was just it. And so that guy set that money in my hand, and I realized, I made this money without a boss, without anybody, nobody told me to do this. No, I didn't have to show up 9 to 5 or anything like that. And man, once I understood, once it clicked in my head that I could make money on my own without a boss, man, there was no stopping me after that. I quit and I was like, man, I'm out of here. And so, yeah, and I've never looked
Fantastic
back.
story.
I've never had a job since.
I always say, Ron, that we become entrepreneurs by accident. Somebody taught us a little bit. In my case, I have a friend also. He showed me a little bit. Oh, this is how you make money. We were doing properties back then. We managed to sell over 5 million doing this business. But at the beginning was like this. My friend told me, look, this is the property you rent it, then you rent it again more expensive, and this is you make more money. And I say, okay, let me try. And one day, exactly like you shared with us, I'm making this money with with our boss, and my background same thing. My family, my parents are teachers, so nobody in my family is an entrepreneur. Nobody have an idea to be an entrepreneur. I never heard. So the conversation always in my house was, no, you have to study or you have to work hard if you want to make money. And the more you study, the more you work, the more you get that. But once, exactly like you shared with us, one is click and you realize you have this little breakthrough. I just want to admire how responsible were you when you were young, because when I was your age, I was drinking and chasing girls all the time. Yeah, I become my life an entrepreneur after 32 years old. Yeah, so I had to admire you to be so responsible, right? To so young, and try to just focus in what really matters, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
everyone with with a little bit of money with that age, the least that would be thinking is to have their own money and to try to build the business, right? Cars, I
yeah,
think, Ron, that you find a very good niche, because those cars, these are the only cars that go up on price, right? So they are like assets. This is the
right.
only cars I was born in Havana, Cuba, so there is a lot of classic cars there. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah, lots
uh,
of classic cars. I
loads of
love that
it.
place. There's so many cars down there. That's amazing.
Oh, Lord. But those cars had I mean, here in UK, yesterday actually, I was walking around with my girlfriend for a very posh area here in London, close to Hyde Park, where the houses, they worth like 60 million, 80 million. Very, very rich people live there. And guess what they have? They have vintage cars parking outside. They don't have a Rolls Royce, of course. They can afford a Rolls Royce. They can afford any car they want. But they have this, and my girlfriend was telling me, why these guys are so rich, have these cars so old as a lily, because these cars are like a
Yeah, they go up
story.
in value. I mean,
Yeah, they grow
exactly.
up on
And
value.
so people are buying them for an investment, and so
Yeah.
yeah, and it was crazy. I was in the, this is back, just to show you how old I am, I guess. This is back in the 90s. In the 90s I was doing it, but
Wow.
there's a lot of places in the world where everything rusts, and I had a lot of rust, like UK is a place, Germany is a place, um northern United States, like Michigan, New York, all that stuff is kind of the rust belt is what they call it. And so I just happened to live in Texas at the time, and everything was rust free down there. So I didn't even have to ship out nice cars. I was just shipping out bodies, and people were buying them because they couldn't find rust free bodies, and so I was just that's how I started. And I was just going nuts, man. I was buying everything across Texas like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I had the phone numbers to every wrecking yard in Texas, and they all knew me. And
Wow.
I was buying rust-free doors. I was buying rust-free car parts and rust-free hoods. Not just the whole car, but I was buying parts and I was shipping them all over the place. And so, um, yeah, everybody knew me. And when the car came in, they'd call me and set it off to the side, and I'd go and pick it up. And I just, yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy time. I didn't even know how crazy it was. I just didn't,
It's like by
I was just so
accident. You
young,
don't even know what's going on. It's like
hmm
I,
Yeah. I was just so young. I just didn't even know, and man, I was buying, I remember I told them all the truck doors, anything from the 70s, Ford, Chevy. I said I'd buy all the doors rust-free, dent-free for $75. And
wow.
I remember the first time I pulled up to pick them up, this guy had like 50 of them sitting out there, already taken off and ready to go. He's like, "There you go, $75 a piece." And then I was putting them on the carrier, shipping them up north, and I was selling them for $125 a piece, and they were selling them for 200 a piece. So yeah, it was just it was crazy, man.
Ron, so now what was your journey? Because one thing is an entrepreneur, and okay, you can set your first company, right? And then I guess that it was your first exit. So tell me a little bit about your journey, how you become from entrepreneur to serial entrepreneur. What happened? The
Um,
you
I
start to
realized
enjoy
it
the
was a
business
lot.
process? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So for me, I realized it was a lot easier to buy somebody's business that didn't know how to run it and take it to the next level and then sell it, than to start from scratch. So, I've started playing from scratch. I mean, I've done that, I don't know, probably 10, 12 times.
Wow.
But starting from scratch is a lot harder than just buying somebody who's either retiring or just doesn't know how to run it and it's just kind of floundering. And so, like one time I bought I bought a solar company from somebody that it was just kind of floundering, and I revamped the website. I changed everything. I just upgraded everything around it. I started reaching out to customers, and like he didn't do that. I warmed up the list. I mean, he had a huge email list that he never really worked with, and so I started doing that, and I changed that company. I bought that stupid solar company for like 15 grand, and I sold it for 1.5 in like 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a huge growth curve. And
Very
it was
fast.
just he just didn't know what he had, and he didn't know
So
how
Ron, what happened? You
to.
applied the same processes that you have in your previous business to this
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same process. It's the same with everything. Everything's the same. People don't realize how simple it is. I don't care what your skill set is right now. I can turn anybody into a millionaire. I mean, if you're mopping floors at the local school or you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, you already have the skills to make your first million. You're just looking at things wrong, or you have all the puzzle pieces, but you might not have them all in the right place. You know what I mean? And so, instead of so if let's just say somebody's mopping floors at a school, and they've been doing it for 15 years, and I tell them, I said, okay, instead of doing that, have you ever thought about starting your own cleaning company? And if you changed a few things and looked at things differently, you could have $1 million cleaning company within a year. I mean, it doesn't take that long to build a huge cleaning company. I mean, I've done it. I mean, I've done it. So I know you know, getting the right contracts. The same with the landscaping businesses. I mean, those are so easy to grow. A roofing company is so easy to build. I mean, there's a it doesn't matter what skill you have, whether it's mopping floors, flipping burgers. I can show you at least a dozen millionaires that do what you do. So
Exactly.
it's easy. It's easy as long as you have the right puzzle pieces in place and you decide, I'm going to do something different with these skills.
Yeah, we have run this question. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs and startups, right? And we help them to grow the business. And the first thing that they everybody says is, "No, Harry, my business is different. You don't understand my business. My business is different." So, what message do you have for every startup entrepreneur that every time that
It
they
isn't.
that is stuck, they need help, they need to grow, but when you talk to them, the first thing that they tell you, no, 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 you don't know what you're talking about. My business is different. So, what message do you have for these entrepreneurs?
Your business ain't different. You ain't special. Uh, yeah, you aren't special. So everybody's business, everybody has the same format. Listen, everybody has the same format. And so it's how you treat your customers, it's how you build the business, it's how you treat your employees, um, all that stuff. You get people that have these attitudes all the time, like I hear people say, "Oh, if it wasn't for me, this business wouldn't be, blah blah blah. This business needs me, or it wouldn't be here, or whatever." And I tell them, I say, "Well, then you don't have a business. You have a job. If it can't run without you, then you have a job, not a business."
Mhm.
And they're like, "Oh, no, no, no," because they're trying to sell it. They're like, "No, no, no, I didn't mean it that way." Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what you just said. And so, why would I buy a job? And they start backtracking, really quick. No, no, it can be ran without me. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't need me. Yeah, yeah, right. Everybody puts way too much. Almost every business owner is the bottleneck and the reason why they're not growing.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't get out of their own way most of
Yeah. And then Ron, which this one about the tech companies that you got involved, can you mention one couple of those companies and what was
the
your
time. Yeah.
role in that
Well,
one?
like that solar company was an online business. It was, you know, matter of fact, he did a bunch of automation. It's so interesting because I stemmed like three different businesses from that.
Wow, really?
Um, yeah, yeah. So he had a solar business, but he was so smart. He actually created the schematics for his own LED lights
Wow.
that he was building in China. And so I was going through all these old emails, right? And I'm like, uh, I call his wife because he had passed away. So I called his wife and I says, I'm reading these emails. Am I reading these emails right? He was talking to China and he was correcting China on how to build these LED lights. He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "They were overheating and blah blah blah." And he was telling them, you need to build them this way and build them that way. And
He
I was
was
like, "You're
teaching
kidding."
them.
And
Wow.
so I contacted the people in China, and they're like, "Yeah, no, he helped us develop a whole line of lights." And then on top of that, these lights worked. If you changed a few things, the lights worked with as grow lights as well. And the thing that was special about these lights were they were 12-volt lighting, so you could run them off of solar panels.
Wow.
Um, Directly. Yeah. So, what was interesting about that is it's amazing how many 12-volt lighting systems are out there. For instance, all the cell towers have 12-volt LED lighting in the for their emergency lighting systems, which have to be replaced every year as part of their just routine
Compliance,
maintenance.
yeah.
Yeah, and then every bus stop in Las Vegas has solar panels on the roof and they have 12-volt lighting in them. Every remote railroad station has 12-volt lighting in their on their side on the side. And so I started like I was like, wait a minute. And so I branched off a whole nother company called DC Lighting Warehouse, and I started a whole nother company just selling those 12-volt lighting systems. And then I built this solar company up, sold that for 1.5. I sold this lighting system for over a million seven. And then I branched off part of the lighting company and teamed it up with I had a greenhouse company at the time. And so I was selling the grow lights and the solar kits with the greenhouses. So I mean, yeah, I made out on that company. I mean, there was all kinds of opportunities there. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, going back to what you're saying though, tech businesses, any business is easy as long as you understand your customers' needs and understand what, because a lot of people just don't even ask themselves, why are these customers even buying this stuff? And I would get on the phone and I would call the customer, why did you buy this? I was like, you live in Florida. Why are you buying this 12-volt lighting system?
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, because I own a yacht, I own a sailboat, and I got solar panels on the sailboat. I'm like, oh, well, that just changed my whole marketing. That I need to market these to sailboat people. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
started, I didn't know nothing about solar when I bought this thing.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, same. Well, I think that it's even the clients. Everyone, all the entrepreneurs out there, they're always thinking, "Oh, how can I make my product perfect so I can offer it to the clients?" And this is what we find out. We find out that it's the client who help you to polish it the product instead, because they when you give it to the client will tell you, "I won't buy it." Why? Oh, I need if you have this and this, then I will buy it. I'm like, what? Really? That's what you need, and you will buy it? So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's the
A few
client.
tweaks, a few tweaks. And so,
Yeah.
like I had the same day I called the people in Florida, I called a guy in Wyoming because there was a guy in Wyoming that bought two or three different things from me. And I was like, well, so why are you buying it? And he goes, oh, I'm buying the solar panels and the water pump to pump water up to my cows. And I was like, so let's put a kit together. Instead of him buying this part and this part and this part, let's put a kit for water for cow, and so
An
boom, and
opportunity,
all
right?
the ranchers started coming and all the ranchers started buying from me. And then all the guys that were selling, yachts and stuff like you see, I could have easily split that company into two or three more places if I wanted to. And I could have just focused, a yacht
It's it.
solar company, a rancher solar company. I could have easily split that up and done that if I really wanted to. Yeah.
Now let's talk about this, Ron. Let's talk about how you find your niche and how you prepare the company to exit, because it might sound easy exit successfully for the company, but it's not easy. Maybe
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. So,
So how
well,
you
yeah.
you prepare your mindset, and what are your secrets that you apply in all your company to make sure that when the exit point comes, right? You have everything ready, and you can exit successfully. You can sell the company with a good price, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so
Since
I
you
guess what I
start,
look
you're
for,
thinking in the exit run. So when you take now, but the spirit you have since you started, you're already thinking, I'm gonna do this for 2 years, 3 years, and I want to exit for a couple of million, 1.5, and this is
yeah, yeah. I always buy everything to sell. I build everything to sell. It's always to sell in
why,
my mind.
why.
Um, because I always do. I mean,
This is who you are, right?
well, everybody is that way. They just don't realize it.
Maybe they cannot
You,
sell it. They get stuck in the business forever because they cannot sell it.
yeah, they get stuck in these businesses, and
They
that
have a
is a problem.
full-time job for life, right?
Yeah, because nobody knows what life has for you. If you have a stroke next month, what's your exit strategy for your business? And how's your wife going to handle taking on your business? And so I always build everything to sell because you never know when you need to sell it. And so I always advise that to all my clients when I coach them. But also, they don't realize the valuation that their companies have. Matter of fact, my son's only 20, was he 24 now? And he owns a multi-million dollar landscaping company, and
Wow.
and he was just offered 1 point, was it 1.2 or 1.3? We were just talking about it last night. So he was offered already an exit strategy, but he built that to sell. I mean, he's like, I'm going
Wow.
to build these clients, I'm going to build this client list, I'm going to get it all ready. And so is
From
he
day
making
one, ready,
1.3 now?
preparing for the
No.
exit from day one, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, he's busting his butt for a year or two. He's only been doing it. This is his second summer, and he's already, already getting offers for over $1 million. So, and he started with a $50 lawnmower. So, I mean,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, it can be done. Anybody can do this.
How this
The
relationship between father and son? If your son, because for one side could be very beneficial, probably, like have you as a role model, because sons, you want to do what you want to get your dad proud, right? And you want to do what your dad, and then that could be and see your career, right? Maybe he's looking up to you as a role model, and look, with 20 years old, uh,
yeah.
you actually, you didn't make even this kind of money, and he already achieved that, right? So
Well, yeah. I
how
mean,
this relationship, do you think that he feel
yeah.
threatened that, I cannot disappoint my dad, and I want to hit
No,
the
no,
mark
no, no.
because it's
It's
gonna
not
be a
like
tough
that at
job,
all. So
to raise that,
th-
or you
they
support him
call me
and
all
let
the
him to do
time.
his own thing.
Yeah, no, my kids call me all the time. We have a good relationship, and they realize. Luckily, I taught them to work hard. I don't. They're not scared of work. They're not scared of work at all. None
Yeah.
of my boys are. And so they realize that everybody is chasing right now. Everybody's chasing internet businesses and websites and tech companies and all that stuff, and they're leaving this huge gap open in the
The services,
blue
right?
collar in the blue collar businesses. And so one of them started a landscape company. The other one has a window washing company, and he did like 600,000 his first year.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it's so ridiculous because nobody wants to work, and so my kids are like, There's opportunities right here." So they're jumping into these opportunities because they're not scared of where the opportunities are. And so I taught them a long time ago is find the gaps, and jump on it. And so because they were able to do that, and because they deliver, over deliver, under promise, and over deliver, that's something I always taught everybody. And so they're doing that, and because of that, they're landing, the bank account, the big banks and the hospitals, and they're not
The
just,
bigger
they're not
contracts,
cutting
right?
grass or doing windows for just anybody. I mean, they're doing like the hospital buildings, the banks, the
Wow.
police station. They got, they got all the parks, city parks in town, and so yeah, I mean, they're doing really well,
I
and
mean, I've
both
been
of
in
them are doing great.
US. I've been there in US, and here in, in United Kingdom is harder. I've been there, and I was seeing this that you sharing with me. I saw a lot of opportunity, but then when I speak with the people, I say, guys, why you don't open your business about property maintenance and managing buildings, for example, that you have to manage the buildings, and can take hundreds of these and you can make a lot of money out of this. But then we have the thing that over there everybody live very comfortable, everybody get well paid, everybody have the car, and people don't want to trade this comfort for anything in the world, not even have their
No.
own company. And I'm like, man, if you knew. But they say, no, I'm happy with my job. I have a car. I make this money. I'm happy. Why should I go into become an entrepreneur? So I said, I agree with you. Huge opportunities out there, but it's for people that understand, right? Because I think that the mindset of the millionaire is completely different of the mindset of the rest of entrepreneurs out there. That's why 90%, 98% of companies are failing, is because all the entrepreneurs are thinking, okay, I'm gonna create this product, I'm gonna make it amazing, and then I'm gonna go to sell it. With your kids, because they have a dad, a role model, they're doing something completely different. They're finding the market where is already a gap and people are willing to spend over 1 million, 2 million in that service, and then you're opening a
Yep,
business in that gap. That's how you make money,
exactly.
right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what they did. Instead
They
of,
don't care if
forcing
it's
it on the
window
market,
cleaning, they don't care if it's sweeping the floor, they don't care what is
they
it.
don't care.
If there is a
No.
market, a multi-million pound market there, a gap waiting for that service, your,
Yeah.
your kids will put this in 24 hours to run, right?
They're making money. Yeah. Month one, boom. And there's so many people out there. How many people have you heard say, I started a business and I'm not planning on making any money for a year or the 6 months or the first year. It's all about building the business. Man, screw that. I want to make money now. And so, yeah, every business
Yeah.
I start is profitable the first month. The first month I'm making money. If I can't make money in the first 30 days, I'm not going to open that business. I have no
Yeah.
interest in a business that I got to build for a year before I can make make a profit.
My first business was more involved in property, right? I did it for the money, literally.
Yeah.
A friend told me,
Yeah.
"Oh, look, you do this property business, you're gonna make a lot of money. I'm gonna like your friend with the car and say, okay, show me. Okay, you do this, that, this, you're gonna make." So I literally did it for the money, right? So
Yep.
and then when you make money, now you see, I'm also in the coaching space, same like you. We help company to grow, something that it gives me a lot of joy to help the people, right? And I love to
Yeah.
do this. We can say this is my passion. I do talks around the world, around business growth. I'm passionate about this. But hey, it was my first business who allowed me to live my passion, right? It was
Yeah.
no,
Absolutely. I mean,
I didn't grow my passion business. It was not my first one. If I grow my passion business first, it won't make anything, right? Because there was no
right.
even gap there. So the first million was done in a market, in a business that already the market was really waiting, and it have a size to spend the to that you can make a couple of millions. We managed to sell five actually. Took us a few years, but we managed to do it. So Ron,
Yeah, I did. I mean, I did the same thing when I moved. When I sold all my businesses and I decided to retire. I
mhm.
moved down here to a small town in the mountains in Colorado, town of 4,500 people. I didn't know anybody here,
My friend said it's
and
beautiful there. It's beautiful there in Colorado. My friend said.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I got beautiful mountains all the way around us, and so, um, but I always wanted to get into real estate. I never did that. All these businesses I've had, I never got into real estate, and
Oh,
so
it's
I told my wife.
beautiful.
I was like, I'm gonna do it. And so I spent 2 years when I moved down here. We bought 35 properties in 2 years and built a $5 million portfolio in a small town of 4,500 people. It's cash flowing. I'm making more off that real estate than I did off most of the businesses. And so and the rents just keep going up and up, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's nuts. And I bought these about 4 or 5 years ago when I first moved down here, right before the interest rates went up. And so I've got 35 properties locked in for 30 years at under 5% interest. I mean, I'm just, yeah. So yeah, we're sitting sweet on all that stuff. So I mean, and the opportunities are always out there. I mean, you just got to do it. And so, I did a real estate. I built up, like I said, I built up a $5 million portfolio in under 2 years, and I used $0. By the way, I used $0 to do this, and so people didn't even realize that. I'm like, no, I didn't touch my savings to do this. I did this all on, with $0. They're like, what? And so, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ron, so what are the 5 steps that you recommend to all the entrepreneurs out there to make the first million?
I would say 5 steps are one, first of all, know where you're going. And you got to draw a roadmap to where you want to go. This is where I'm at, this is where I want to get to, and draw the roadmap on how you're going to get there. And so um, that would be number one. Number two is know your customer base. Like I said, call them. I mean, call your customers and find out why they're buying a product or why they're doing this. And understand your customers. But most people don't even understand their customers. It's so silly. I mean, it's such a silly problem to have is you don't even know why they're buying your product. Um, And number two is formulate a plan to resell that product to that customer or their people like them. Like I said, the rancher, I put together the kits for the ranchers. I put together a kit for the people that sell both. And so I would formulate and make it easy for your customers to buy from you and custom cater it for them. Like I said, I built the well kits for the watering of the cattle. I built kits, lighting kits for sailboats, and it was completely two different kits, even though it had the same products in it. But I catered it to the customer. So that was where I'm at. Three, four. I don't know where I'm at
Three.
now. But three. That was three, right? So four is that's a good question. Four is always build it to sell. Always have an exit strategy and be ready to sell it. And five is when you do sell it, here's the leave some meat on the bone for the next person. Don't try and say, okay, it's worth, I made $1 million, it's worth $5 million, and blah blah blah, and you don't leave any meat for the next person. You like try to sell it for as much as you can. Don't do that. Leave enough on there because they're going to make mistakes when they take over. They're learning and they got growing pains too. And if you leave just a little bit of wiggle room for the next person, they will highly recommend. So when I sell a business, I say, yeah, go call this guy. He bought a business from me. Tell me, and everybody gives me a great referral because I left a little bit of meat on the bone for the next person. So when
Very
they
good.
when they did really well with their business, they easily refer other people to me to buy business.
And then Ron, you actually you support them a little bit after the sales. You just say, okay, buy this is the business, and you run
Oh
the
no, no.
business.
Yeah, yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I'm there to help. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
help them out.
exactly.
Get them going.
It's the
I
first
give
thing
them all
to
my
it's
contacts,
the first thing to
and
do. Yeah.
yeah, people keep it close to the vest, and I'm just not that way. I mean, it's really simple, I mean, do what you do best and hire the rest. That's one of the things I tell people all the time. And the other one is, treat people like you'd want to be treated. That's it. I mean, would you want to be left high and dry with a business with no advice? I mean, yeah, you want to be able to call them. And so, yeah, they call me, they can call me anytime, anytime. So,
So Ron, if people out there they are listening this podcast, they are in United States, and they say, "Man, I want to go for it. I want to make my first million. I don't care. I'm gonna follow Ron advice. I'm gonna find a niche, and I'm gonna go for it." And like your kids are doing very young right now. So how they can find you, and what was the process? How they can work with you?
all you need to go do is go to mentoringgiants.com and
I love the
just
name.
book a call with me. You get me, you don't get anybody else. And even if we don't work together, you get 30 minutes with me to give you advice on your business and where it is. And so I don't charge for it. I like doing it. It's a lot of fun. Keeps me busy. It keeps me from staring at cows all day. So yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
like doing it. I like helping people. So yeah, I mean, even if we decide not to work together, you still get a free 30-minute consultation. So
I think that it's also a sense of fulfillment when you can actually make an impact in people's lives. Sometimes I'm here on the street walking in London, and the people are hugging me, Harry, you changed my life. I said, me? When? No, in this conference you did. You talk about this. Look, my kids, I'm doing amazing. I hate what you say, and I'm applying it. I read your book, and then I say the book, I take few pictures, the person goes, but actually it does my day. I arrive home, I'm very happy. I say like, wow, it's amazing that the job that you're doing or what we're doing actually make a difference in people's lives. So even people listening this podcast or looking at social media, if even this conversation can inspire them to know that it's possible, that is no, there is a book why students is why a student A work for a student C, because the student
yeah,
C, they are looking outside the box, and yeah, when they perform very good in the school, but business it had the completely different dynamic, and until you don't understand that dynamic, you're not gonna be successful, and you're not gonna be the smartest people in the room. Actually, all my employees are smarter than me. They are all better than me in
Oh
everything
yeah,
I do.
totally.
If I had to do what my employee do it, I don't know how I can do it. I don't even know how they do it, honestly. Some tasks that they perform.
100%.
So
Totally agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the whole goal is to understand the system, how it works, and the mechanics. And so, Ron, before you go, how important is to have a mentor? Yeah, because at the end of the day, you didn't start it out of the sky. You
I
seek
have
for a
never
mentor
met.
yourself. You seek for a mentor yourself. In
Yep.
your own 20 years, whatever, you saw a guy
I've
that was making
always
some money. So how
I
important is
always seek a
mentorship in
mentor.
business? Do you think that all the entrepreneurs out there, they don't need a mentor? Do you think that they will arrive by themselves?
I
Or it's key to have a mentor if you want to build a multi-million pound business?
I think you're crazy if you don't have a mentor. I've had a mentor in every business I've ever had.
Wow,
Um,
really?
and yeah, every business I've ever had, I've hired a mentor. When I did real estate, I hired a guy that did real estate. I said, okay, man, how are you doing
I
this?
told you
And
everything.
yeah, and so I look at it as like a NASCAR race. Okay, I don't focus on the lead car if I'm in last place. I focus on the car in front of me, and I want a mentor to get me around that car. And once I'm around that car, then I go find another mentor. Once I exceed what that mentor can do for me, then I go find another mentor. Okay, you're good at accounting. Mentor me through this accounting because I don't understand this. And so I pay a mentor to get me through that accounting. Okay, now I know enough to hire the right people, and so then I go and hire somebody to do the accounting. And so yeah, I hire mentors for everything. It saves you so much time, so much time.
The
And
trial and error is really expensive, Ron, right?
oh man, yeah,
Too
yeah,
expensive
it's terrible. I mean, it's terrible. You could be in a loop forever, not even
for
know it.
years, yeah?
And
All your life,
yeah, for
basically.
years, all your life. Yeah, you can do it for all your life if you and
Yeah.
don't even know it. I mean, I always hire mentors. I hire the best accountants. I hire the best of everything. And because um, I'm like, hey man, tell me how to do this. Okay, this is the business I'm running. What are my tax breaks? I don't want to understand this stuff, man. The tax code is this thick. I ain't got time for this, man. Tell me what to do and tell me what this is where I am. This is where I want to go. Mentor me through this. And so they do. And then the same thing when I started business, I bought that solar company. I didn't know nothing about solar. Unfortunately, the guy had passed away, so I couldn't use his advice. So I called a guy that was in the solar business and I paid him to mentor me through what I needed to do. I was like, okay, man, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go with the business. He's like, I don't know if I'd do that. I might do this and so he changed the way I did things. And do I take their advice all the time? No, but there's still a guide. I mean, there's still a guide. And so, yeah, man, I don't know anybody that's successful that's a multimillionaire that
Neither
has
do
not
I.
used a mentor.
Doesn't have a
Yeah,
mentor. Here we have one of the multimillionaires here in United Kingdom, Richard Branson, and he has loads of mentors. I think that the more wealthy they are, they have specific more mentors specific for everything. Yeah, I'm doing now.
yeah,
I'm doing now losing weight. Yeah, I drop already 7 kilos really fast. But I have like 5 people. I have a troop of people working with me on that, from doctor, nutritionist, you name it. And the
yep,
people say, "Wow,
yep,
Harry, how come you drop 7 kilos so fast?" I say, "If you knew that I have an army of people working with me on this, on this,
absolutely, absolutely.
that's how it's getting so fast and so good." It's
Yep,
the more mentor you have, the better. And on that note, yeah, if you want to go to 0 to 1 and make your first million, one of the best, I'm very inspired by this call, by the way, Ron. I'm very proud of you. Where have you
thank
chosen
you.
an example of serial entrepreneur for real, no BS, because we hear a lot of BS people. This is
Yeah,
for real serial entrepreneur. And if you guys want to go to 0 to 1 and you want to learn from the best, please contact Ron. The details also will be in the description of this video, in our social media and the podcast. And I want to say bye for now and keep following this podcast 5 steps how great entrepreneurs break that wall and make the first million in sales. Bye for now. Take care.
Take care. Thanks for having me. We'll see you.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.